Jen Dye is here with Senator Nina Turner. How are you doing today?
Wonderful. How are you, Jen?
I'm doing well, and we just got done. You just did a Women for Bernie Climate Change Town Hall. The enthusiasm in the room was great. It went really, really well. It recently came out that she has a super PAC that is supporting her, and she is not, in fact, disavowing this PAC as she has pledged to do. And she has said today, if all the candidates, or this was in the debate actually, if all the candidates want to get rid of super PACs, count me in, I'll lead the charge. But that's how it has to be. It can't be the case that a bunch of people keep them and only one or two don't.
Do you want the super PAC supporting you to stand? Do you want the super PAC supporting you to stand down?
So look, the first day I got in this race over a year ago, I said, I hope every presidential candidate who comes in will agree. No super PACs for any of us. I renewed that call dozens of times, and I couldn't get a single Democrat to go along with me. Finally, we reached the point a few weeks ago where all of the men who were still in this race and on the debate stage all had either super PACs or they were multi-billionaires and could just, rummage around in their sock drawers and find enough money to be able to fund a campaign. And the only people who didn't have them were the two women. And at that point, there are some women around the country who said, that's just not right. So here's where I stand. If all the candidates want to get rid of super PACs, count me in. I'll lead the charge. But that's how it has to be. It can't be the case that a bunch of people keep them and only one or two don't.
Her website still says that she would disavow super PACs if it comes down to it. She accused Bernie Sanders of having super PAC support. She said previously at a previous debate that she and Amy Klobuchar were the only candidates who did not. What do you have to say about that?
Senator Bernie Sanders does not have a super PAC. Senator Bernie Sanders is raising his money $18 at a time. We have over 6 million donations into this campaign of everyday people across this nation who are giving their money because he believes that they're going to change their material conditions or fight like hell to change those conditions, which he is. Senator Sanders is doing this thing a new way. We need real campaign finance reform in this country, and I am glad that he had the courage not to wait on others, but that he is blazing a trail in this. And he started it in 2016. And I remember people not believing he was serious about running for president because people really, how can you in this climate raise money that way and not ask the millionaire class or the billionaire class not to have to grovel, not to have super PACs? How are you going to do it? And guess what? He did just fine. He was able to compete. Believe the campaign raised about $230 million that election cycle. He was able to compete, showing very clearly that his only special interests are people like Mr. and Mrs. Jones in Denmark, South Carolina, people like Maria, people like Kwame, people like John and Joe, people like Jane, people like Victoria Dooley. Those are the kinds of people that Senator Sanders is standing up for, and he's showing it through his actions. He's not just talking the talk, he's walking the walk. Somebody has to blaze that trail. We need real campaign finance reform in this country. It pollutes our representative democracy, the way that candidates raise money in this country, and we're never going to have true democracy as long as people continue to depend on those sources to raise money. The more money you have, the more voice. That's why we have somebody like Mayor Bloomberg out there just flat out trying to buy the democracy because he's worth $60 billion and he can afford to wake up and say, oh, guess I'll run for president and fund his entire candidacy that way. That's not the way that we should run. And so I'm really proud of Senator Bernie Sanders for running the campaign the way that he is and raising the money the way that he is raising it.
With Senator Warren previously running kind of on an anti-corruption platform, this kind of flip-floppery, if as people are calling it, happened also with Medicare for All. Is she that progressive candidate that she purported to be, the almost Bernie that she purported to be?
Senator Sanders is that candidate. I'm not going to get into Senator Warren. Folks will have to ask her and her campaign as to why she has had a change of heart. But what I can say is that Senator Bernie Sanders has been steadfast in his belief for Medicare for All. He hasn't capitulated one iota. He said that it is a moral right in this country, and you can't argue against a moral right. As you notice, we talked about it out there, and Naomi Klein was very clear. And her point well taken. Some things should not be commodified. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, But healthcare should not be commodified. It is a right that we should have in this country, and we definitely have to stand up strong for that. It's something you can't hedge on that. This is about life and death. Dr. Victoria Dooley gave us a heartbreaking example of that at the end, where she talked about her patient was a college student and was having some depression. His parents' health care didn't work where he was. It worked in Michigan, but it didn't work where he was. And that ultimately, the end of the story is that this young man ended up committing suicide. So we are not exaggerating when we say that having health care in this country is about life or death. So I'm really glad that Senator Bernie Sanders is standing firm on what he believes in.
Thank you very much for your time, as always.
Thank you so much.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.